Hi there. I'm Beverly Lewis, and I am excited to welcome you to the very first episode of Slingshot Success. Slingshot Success is a division of the High Road to Leadership and Beverly Speaks. I have been recording podcasts for a while, but I have added a new dimension to my business, and that covers personal health and wellness in the workplace. I will tell you a little bit more about it as we go, but I find that first of all, those of you who are familiar with my message know that I'm passionate about leadership. I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership, that the biggest challenge that our workplaces, our country, our families, all of the organizations that make up a community are in desperate need of high integrity leaders, people who have a vision, a passion, lead with ethics and high character. And there's such a need. So guess what? Tag, you are it. And here's what I know about wellness and how that fits into the whole leadership puzzle. You have to start with leading yourself well. That's one of my premises. But if you are not well, if you are not healthy, it's hard to lead well. So I want to give you a little information about why I think this is so important. And then I'm going to tell you a story. So bear with me. One of the reasons it's important in the United States, we spend more money on healthcare than any other nation in the world. In fact, it's about $4.5 trillion annually at this point in time. We use more prescription drugs than any other nation in the world. It's phenomenal how much we spend. And yet, does that make us the healthiest nation in the world? Of course not. Actually, we only have 5% of the world's population, but we spend the most on drugs. Now, you think about that and the fact that we are actually, in most polls, we're about number 10 as far as developed countries in terms of our mortality rate, high quality, our quality of living, and what is actually coming out of all this investment in drugs. So I would like to propose to you today that we have some problems in our healthcare system. But here's the thing. You and I really can't change the healthcare system overnight for sure. It's not going to happen. There are changes happening, but what you and I can do is take personal responsibility for our own health. And that is what I'm going to charge you with today. Because we've got statistics. I'm not going to weigh you down with all the facts of how diabetes is rampant, how, we've got so many autoimmune disorders at epidemic levels. I could go on, and I'm just going to cite one condition, which is autism, which back in 50 years ago or so, the statistics on how many children had to deal with the neuro dysfunction of autism, it was 1 in 5,000 children 50 years ago. And now in 2023, actually, the stats were it was 1 in 36 children. What has happened? Why is that? Well, I'm going to propose that it has to do a lot with our lifestyle, with big pharma, yes, with big food. We're eating a lot of food that is highly processed and is not actually building health. But I want to mention just one fact too, to point this out about the toxins in our food, our air, our soils, our water. The list goes on, but there is a lot of plastic being found in our systems these days. And what we know from a study in 2019 is that the average person tested was consuming an the average of 5 grams of plastic a week. A week. Now, that is like eating a credit card every week. Now, what do you think your body does with plastic? It doesn't know what to do. It certainly can't build cells, so it has to eliminate it. It has to get it out. So this is what the problem is with toxins. The good news is our bodies are just absolute miracle machines. I like to see it that way, that we are designed and created to build health. We can heal. We're put together that way. But when we continually contaminate our bodies and overload it, overstress it, run it into the ground. It's kind of like if you had a beautiful high performance sports car and you don't take care of it, if you don't put high performance fuel in it, if you don't service it, you will just run it till the wheels fall off. And people do that with their own health and their own bodies. So we have a lot to learn. And the great news is that we can make a change. And I'm going to always challenge you, as I do, that you can make a change starting today with one thing that you hear just in the next few minutes. So quick personal story about why I have actually implemented this into my business and into my leadership training. And I do, before I tell you my personal story, I do have to tell you why I chose the name Slingshot Success. Slingshot Success, think of David and Goliath, and you think of the epic victory that was won by a young boy who seemed ill equipped. He didn't have any of the equipment that you would expect, but he had a belief and a faith. And so I have to preface that to me telling you my story because my card does say that Slingshot Success is transforming obstacles into opportunities. And that's what I had the opportunity to do about 2 years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer, and I have always been into health all of my adult life. I've considered my diet to be good. I've always exercised, taken care of myself, been involved in the wellness industry many times in different ways and fashions, but I've always been really attentive to the component of wellness and leadership. So when I received that cancer diagnosis, actually, I was on the way to Florida to do some training. I live in Georgia now, and I found they called me and said, Mrs. Lewis, your test was malignant, and we need you in the office tomorrow to begin the consultations of how you're going to start your treatment. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm not even in the state, so I can't be in your office tomorrow. And I have a lot of research to do. I need you to email me the exact report. I need to know exactly what's going on. And I became what I call a research ninja over the next 5 or 6 months. I decided that I wanted to understand every step of the process and all of the choices that I had. I really look at cancer and all the other autoimmune disorders as a malfunction of our system. Didn't mean that I was going to die. It meant that something was needed to be changed dramatically. And instead of buying into fear, which a lot of people do, it's kind of a natural response. But instead of that, frankly, I got a little angry. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I don't have time for this. We've already been through a lot of challenges. And I thought, I am going to show the enemy in my soul who is boss, because I'm going to come out of this thing stronger. I'm going to be healthier than I was even 10 years ago. And by the way, fast forward, I am healthy, I am strong, I am healed, and I am cancer free. And I did take a non-traditional route. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of my story today, except I will say that one of the first things I did is I consulted with a holistic nutritionist who helped put me on the path to restructure the terrain, the terrain of my body. And that's what I want to challenge you with today. How is your health? I would ask you that personally. And I know if we were sitting down and having a conversation, you might not even be straight with me, because a lot of times we accept a lot of things that are not really normal, but they have become normalized because they are so common in our culture. Things like high blood pressure, things like fatigue and burnout, things like digestive problems and digestive disorders, high blood sugar or low blood sugar, thyroid problems, and the list goes on and on and on. So, you know what? If you're healthy, I am so excited for you. And if you don't have any of those symptoms, congratulations. I want you to stay that way. But here's the reality. You know somebody that is dealing with all those things. It might be a loved one, it might be a coworker, but it is the health problems are very, very real. So I made that choice to start rebuilding. And it's been a fabulous journey, and I've discovered a lot of things. I continually am learning. It is a constant process. I'm so curious. Technology has given us a lot of breakthroughs. I am very interested in the natural healing modalities and have embraced many, many, many of them. And again, I'm going to go through a list of simple things that everybody can start with today, just to keep it very accessible and attainable. But I just want to say that I am not a nutritionist. I'm not a medical person, but I am a person that has spent many, 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 many hours of research for my own edification, for my own empowerment in making health decisions for myself. And I'm awake to the hope that healing is for everyone. And a lot of people are dealing with things that haven't been accurately or correctly diagnosed because they don't have a drug for it. And I want to just encourage you that your body can heal. So I'm going to give you a couple of quick things that you can do that are actually, most of these are free, that you can do to make a huge difference in your health. And I want to encourage you to pick one. So the first one I want to mention today is sunlight. Now, it's interesting and not coincidental that a state like Alaska in the United States has one of the highest rates of suicide and depression and mental health problems of any other country. And some of that is related to seasonal affective disorder, which has to do with no sunlight in the wintertime. Sunlight is very important to our health. And yes, it's very important to one of the nutrients, vitamin D. Most people know that whole correlation about you have to get out in the sun to up your vitamin D levels. And vitamin D is critical for your immune system and a lot of other systems in our bodies today, but definitely your immune system. So it's really, really interesting. And you can use other forms of light. And in fact, I'm not going to go into it today, but you can expect that on these Slingshot Success episodes, I will do some short commercials, and this is that short commercial. I am in my business now marketing a breakthrough technology product that is a wearable phototherapy. So it uses light, in this case, your body's own infrared light, to elevate your copper peptides. And if you don't know what peptides are, we're not going to explain that today, but I could do that another day. But when your copper peptides are elevated, it activates your own body stem cells for healing. Now, most everybody has heard about stem cells and understand that they actually rebuild your body on every level, whatever kind of tissue, organ, muscles, ligaments, whatever needs to be rebuilt, your stem cells are the foundation of that. And most people don't realize that by the time they're 30 years old, about 60% of the stem cells are become inactive and dormant. By the time you're 60, it's over 90% of your stem cells are dormant. That's what's called aging. That's when you're breaking down faster than you're building up. So if you would like to know about a breakthrough technology, you can contact me, Beverly at beverlyspeaks.com, and I would be more than happy to give you the information, or you can go to my website at slingshotsuccess.com to get some more information on that, or in the show notes. So that's my commercial. And on to the number 2 thing, which is proper sleep. It's interesting that in the workplace, one of the reasons that people quit their jobs, out of the top 3 reasons that people are quitting their jobs, burnout is certainly one of them. And we burn out when we don't get enough sleep. And we don't get enough sleep when we get stressed out. The brain doesn't shut off. You know what that feels like? Yeah, most people do. So it's critical. It doesn't make you a superhero to be able to get by on 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night when your body requires 7 to 8. And so we have to learn to discipline ourselves to be able to turn off our devices, shut off that blue light, let our bodies go into their own circadian rhythm to know when it's time to go to bed and get enough sleep. Number 3 is, and really this is correlated with sunlight as being outside, but fresh air and sunshine and just the wonder and awe of being out in nature is very restorative to the body. You hear people talk even about being out in nature barefooted because there's something called grounding, and it is actually a science. There's science behind this stuff, and it's absolutely fascinating. The 4th thing I want to mention is eating real food. Now, I've implied this. It takes a lot of effort to eat real food instead of all the processed foods with seed oils and all the sugars. You all know it's just so easy to eat what everybody else is eating. But what I tell people is if you eat what everybody else is eating, you're going to get what everybody else has got. And it's not optimum health. So making better choices by eating real food is key. Movement is the 5th thing I want to mention. You call it exercise. I like to call it movement. I used to only do it primarily because I knew that I needed it to oxygenate my brain. I've never been somebody that loved exercise and showed up at the gym every day. But I do know that movement every day is critical. Walking is one of the best things that you can do because it's free. If you're able to walk, that is, and you can do it consistently because it doesn't require equipment. And it is a beautiful way to move your body every day. It doesn't have to be intense. It just has to be consistent. Number 6 is getting enough electrolytes in your system to hydrate properly. Hydration is key. Your body is over 70% water, and you don't only need water, you need the electrolytes, including the sodium and the different minerals that help move water through your system. And I'm going to mention two more things. I want to mention avoiding chemicals, learning to buy things clean that you clean your house with, that you wash your clothes in, all of the different ways that you can keep the toxins as minimized as possible. Not one of us in living in this world today is going to be able to avoid toxins altogether. But our body can handle a certain number. You just have to minimize your exposure to them. Last but not least, I want to mention the importance of breathing. Now, I kind of frankly take this together because I was trained as a singer when I was very young. And you learn how to breathe from your diaphragm. You learn how deep breathing is so important. And you also learn things in Psychology 101 about count to three and take a deep breath when you're about to lose it. So there's a lot to oxygenating your body, and the way that it brings it's called your parasympathetic system, which is your stress response system. And deep breathing and slowing our breathing can really speak to the body to just take a chill pill. You're going to be okay. We don't have to stay in this stress response. I love these subjects. I want to talk to you in these next episodes about all kinds of healing modalities. We'll talk with health professionals in the area of acupuncture and massage therapy and PMF, infrared light therapy, and fusion therapy. We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about a lot of cool things. And these episodes will be sprinkled in with the business training episodes with the High Road to Leadership. So I wanted to welcome you to this whole new thing today and tell you that I'm really looking forward to sharing what I've learned and challenging you to let your body heal, because it's designed that way. And if we cooperate with our Creator and how He designed our bodies to work, it is a miracle. It's what I call an everyday miracle, what can happen to you. So I want to thank you for joining me. And as I always close, the best is yet to come. So see you soon.